Hey Woodlands! As we approach the end of the Gospel of Luke, we are discovering 5 historic facts that attest to the truth of the Bible's resurrection accounts from outside the Bible. Last week, we learned our second fact, that the tomb of Jesus was empty. Now, there are 3 reasons why we can be sure of this historic fact. The first is called the Jerusalem factor. Everything related to Jerusalem here. The Christian message has always been that Jesus died for our sins and was resurrected on the 3rd day. Now, this message was preached very soon afterward in Jerusalem, after Jesus had been crucified and buried. And it's noted that he was buried in the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea, who was very well known because of his position on the Jewish council. Furthermore, the women who witnessed the empty tomb, well, they saw Jesus' body being laid in the tomb, so it's not probable that they just went to the wrong tomb. Furthermore, Matthew's gospel reported that Roman guards were stationed in front, making it easy to observe which tomb it was. Additionally, if the tomb was not empty, well, it would have been very easy just to exhume the body and prove, there's no resurrection. At most, the time from Jesus' death to the first public proclamations in the temple were 50 to 60 days. Now, the Virginia Medical Examiner's Office was once asked if that time frame was too long for a body to be recognizable, which is why they didn't exhume it. No, they responded that the body would surely be recognizable, even more so due to the dry climate in the ancient Near East. And even if the resurrection was proclaimed later than that time frame, well, a partially or barely recognizable body would have dissuaded at least some from believing. But here's the thing, there's no historic record of anything like that ever happening. The second factor is that the enemies of Christian faith indirectly admit that the tomb was in fact empty. See, rather than point to an occupied tomb, the disciples were accused of stealing the body. This account is found in Matthew's Gospel. It's proclaimed again in 2 more places. One, the Dialogue with Trypho by Justin Martyr, which was written about 150 AD, and in a work by Tertullian, De Spectaculis, which was written about 200 AD. Now, as far as my research has taken me, the claim that the disciples stole the body is the only alternative suggestion for what really happened and why the tomb was empty. And in doing so, it really confirms the reality that the tomb was, in fact, empty. Now, a third factor is important here, too. It's that women are listed as the primary witnesses. Nowadays, women are rightly viewed as trustworthy, just like men. But in the first century, women were not considered reliable witnesses. If the disciples did steal the body and claim Jesus rose from the dead, they would more likely have had men as the primary, although false, witnesses. Furthermore, the gospel depicts the disciples in an embarrassing light because, well, they ran away when Jesus was crucified, but the women stuck with Jesus to the end. Historians usually accept embarrassing accounts as more accurate than accounts that enlarge the main characters. So the Jerusalem factor, the agreement of enemies of Christianity, and the fact that women were the primary witnesses are all very good reasons to believe that the tomb was empty. It was a fact, and everyone had to deal with it. Now, next Sunday, we're going to explore our final 3 facts, and we're going to pull everything together so we can see that the resurrection is a historic event where God acted in history on our behalf so we can be freed from our sins and live eternally in God's kingdom. Also, as a part of next week, I want to address any questions that you have about the resurrection. As we saw, even the disciples doubted the reality of the resurrection and had questions. I would expect no less from us. So send us a message, and I can't wait to see you next Sunday.